UK.
Yeah.
Things like that, and people really picked up on it and were like, oh, this is classic Brits, like being arrogant, you are Europe, you always separating yourself from Europe, like you're not better than us, and it's...
And it's exactly like that. Guys, welcome to the channel and stay for this video because it is amazing. It's not just about the British and European identity, no, it's about how people are manipulated, how social engineering works, especially from a very early age, and how the results you get are amazing. You convince millions of people of something that is simply, objectively not true. And this is important to understand because it just shows how we're tricked, how we're manipulated. And once you see it, it's like those 3D things where you have to fixate your eyesight, and then all of a sudden it pops up the face and you go, oh damn it. Once you see it, you cannot unsee it. And believe me, by the end of the video, you will understand exactly what I mean by it, and you will see how harmful all of this can be. But let's keep on listening. Nothing against these two guys. First time I've seen them ever popped up in YouTube. I just clicked on it and I thought, damn, this is so good. Anyway, let's check this out.
Yeah.
And someone linked us to a video of another YouTuber called Jen, who we'll link in the description. She made a discussion about it. She's European. She lives in the UK.
She's European. She lives in UK. So she lives in Europe. Guys, it's UK is in Europe. There's no other way around it. I mean, it is the kind of thing you learn from a super early age. You can have different interpretations on how exactly continents may be divided, and usually it's going to be one of these, right? North America, America, the entire landmass, Europe, Africa, Eurasia, all of it, right? And it can be depending on if you go purely geographic landmass. I guess this is the one I was typically 5 continents is probably how I remember being taught at in school. And America could be divided in North America, Central America, and South America, Africa, one big landmass, Australia or Oceania as we go. And there is an element of, for example, Europe and Asia being divided, even though it's the same mass. So you could go with the Eurasia thing. But here is where the cultural aspect and historic aspect comes in, which is 90% is going to be about geography and simple land mass. But yeah, especially in the case of Europe, how important it is for the entire world, historically, culturally. I'm okay with Europe, Asia, this division. But in whatever possible interpretation you make, UK is still in Europe. There's no way around that. Where the hell else are you? What continent do you place yourself in if it's not Europe? These guys over there in that tiny little island, those are still Europe. This is still Europe. And that is still Europe. And this is sure as shit part of Europe as well. But anyway, let's continue.
Yeah.
And she was saying her opinion, which is like she thinks Brits are a bit snobby by saying that we're British, we identify as being British, not European. So we just thought we'd give our take on it.
Let's just give our take on it. Can I just say, I think if we had euros as a currency, that would change a lot, wouldn't it?
Definitely.
You know, when we go away to a European country, we change our currency into a different currency. It feels like monopoly money.
Yeah.
It feels so fake. You're just like, ah, la, la. I don't know about you, but I always feel like it's pretending. I'm like, cash, cash, cash.
Yeah, I know. And the fact that...
That's so sweet. This was 6 years ago, guys. Yeah, since then, Brexit has really settled in, and I have my brother living in London. No one over there is going like with euros, like that's why you were considered snobby, because maybe in many aspects you are, and the exchange rate was better. It was like 40% less or so. That has changed, and the economy of all the world, but the economy of UK has tanked more than any developed country since the pandemic, and a lot of that linked to, of course, no longer being part of the European Union, and in spite of having a different currency. Lady, everyone feels the exact same way. Every single time you go to another country and you're handed over a bunch of bills that are different from what you typically use, it always feels like fake monopoly money, because that's not what you're used to. That alone does not negate the fact that you're still in the same landmass. You're still in the same continent.
You have to travel over a sea.
Yeah.
Admittedly, it's not a huge, big,
Yeah.
vast
Yeah,
ocean.
3 or 4 hour flight
But
somewhere.
We're an island. We've got a different currency. There are loads of other cultural differences.
Culturally, we feel so different.
That I think that's what it is. Like, we have never, ever, ever been brought up in our school education.
Everyone feels this. It is not something that changed geography or where you are. It's insane. We're so different. We have a different currency and we have a different language. And this is the snobby part. So you're not European because you speak English, but the guy that speaks Spanish, Portuguese, French, German, Italian, all of these, they're all European in spite of them also speaking their own language. Imagine if a guy from Italy came and said, you know what, we speak Italiano. Our food is so much better than this shitty crap that you have in Germany. We could not possibly, and we're almost like a little leg separate from the rest. And you have Sicily, you have islands. He said that they have water separating. I mean, these people don't know how continents work. It doesn't matter if you're an island. It's the same thing. You're still part of the same landmass, just with a portion of it going underwater. But in terms of geography, it is still the same fucking continent. It is just incredible. But here is where he gets to it.
Education system to be thought of as European. They're always like, you're British, you're British, you're British, you're British.
Yeah, I feel that too. And because I have Greek...
This is something I got to see firsthand when living over there with my kids going to school. And, going to school with very young children. They were taught, if I remember correctly, one day my son came back from school. They had painted the different continents, and the teacher did not make themselves paint UK as part of Europe. I think it was something that fucking crazy. And I had to explain to my son, look, that's the continent. These are the countries that are part of said continent. Yes, UK is part of Europe. Yes, people from UK are Europeans as well, even if they don't like it, or Winston Churchill tried to make a fucking difference at some point. It doesn't matter. Those are all opinions.
I sort of have my relationships with my Greek and Cypriot family, and when I'm over there, it's also Mediterranean. It's also different.
Yes, exactly. When I go to London and I see all of the kebabs, all of the clothing and all of the face covered, I feel like I'm in the Middle East, and I'm not. So it's different, right? Than say going to Italy and eating Italian food, or going to going to somewhere in England and eating fish and chips, or going to French and seeing the Louvre Museum that's over there. It's going to be different from the National Art Gallery in London. So, yes, countries are different. They do have different languages and different cultures. That does not change the fact that from a geographic point of view, you are there. And this thing that they say, look, it's so fascinating. Check this out. Like when
I sort of have my...
as European, they're always like, you're British, you're British, you're British, you're British.
Yeah.
As if, think of it, so you're from London. What is it, like Londoners, is it? All right, so you're a Londoner. Are you not British? Yes, I'm from London, and I'm also British. And what if you're English? You're English, and yes, I'm English. So you're not British, you're English. No, I am English and British. Oh, so you can be more than one thing. These are not things that are mutually exclusive. So they're not mutually excluding one another. It's not that just because you're British, you cannot be English, and you cannot be from Wales, or you can be more than one thing, right, at the same time. And yes, one of those things you also are is European, in spite of how much that may go against the narrative that you're being taught in schools so as to create this division. Look, in the case of Brexit, this was crucial to achieve that. So I probably think that they went hardcore on the idea of we're so different because of the political objective. And here's where I probably have some of you guys, oh, no, but that was a good thing. Because yes, stay for this video, because you'll see, by the end of the video, you'll see exactly what I mean when I say how destructive and bad for you as an individual this social engineering shit is. Listen to what they say.
Too. And because I have Greek Cypriot heritage, I sort of have my relationships with my Greek and Cypriot family, and when I'm over there, it's also Mediterranean. It's also different. It's me, but I still feel really British, and I identify as a Brit.
That's
I don't
perfect.
feel like
That's perfectly fine. I mean, you are a British person. You have your culture, or you have it at least for a while more, until it gets overtaken by people from enriched, culturally diverse areas. But yes, of course, it's gonna be different, and it's perfectly fine to think that that's not what we do, right? Everyone feels the same. Everyone from every country that travels abroad uses a different currency and talks a different language, or even when speaking the same language. If you are from this part of the world and you travel, well, not in Brazil because they speak Portuguese, but yeah, you think that people from Argentina and Chile are like, yeah, we're all the same. No, we're not. We are. It's actually the case that it may be that with your next door neighbor you don't get along as if with the other guy that's at the other end of the world. That's super common too.
that's the same culturally. No. I don't feel like it's this. Obviously, it's just so hard to explain, and I think the reason why it's a touchy subject is because it's
the idea of exceptionalism, that is one of the main parts why it's always been that way with British culture, right? We're exceptional. Why? No, we don't have guns. Our cops don't use guns. We talk about how stupid that is. But exceptionalism is not exceptional. Everyone thinks they're exceptional. Maybe the more ironic aspect, one version of this is American exceptionalism. It is so much the case that they think that their exceptionalism does not apply to everyone else. No, you don't understand. It's because freedom and liberty, well, whatever parameter of freedom you want to use, or liberty, or freedom, United States is not even usually in the top 5 or 10. If you talk about freedom of expression, I mean, that is painfully obvious. There's even words you cannot say. There's so many things that you are not allowed in TV that are commonly normal everywhere else. If you look by the incarcerated population, by the size of the government, if we accept that governments are usually quite intrusive and restrictive of freedom of the people. So, and yet the idea of exceptionalism, they want for it, but there's also cases in which, yes, you are exceptional because of where you are, where you come from. I would say that a real exceptionalism for the United States, Second Amendment, gun rights, gun culture, that is very much part of the American culture, and it is unlike anywhere else and strongly linked to the Second Amendment. These days, unfortunately, given the great divide that you have, maybe half of Americans are hateful or just don't like the idea of a gun culture or a Second Amendment. There could easily be 20-30% of people from the United States that would gladly get rid of the Second Amendment. A tragedy, but yes, it is still very much exceptional. In the case of Argentina, where I come from, football, or football as you call it, or dear God, soccer. Soccer is not the same thing. That's what little 12-year-old girls play. No, I'm talking about football. It's almost like a religion. It is so ingrained in the culture, in the DNA. And even if you don't play football, you still play football. You have played in a team. Like in my case, you have 5 football balls in a house where people don't play football just because you are Argentine. And that's why you have the players. It's also an economic thing of the way in which someone from the case of Diego Maradona, with all of his personal demons and whatnot, but a genius when it comes to kicking a ball in a way no one else could up until Lionel Messi. But that is one of the things in which you go above the poverty and you suddenly become a guy making $200 million a year. So because of all of that, exceptional. Football in Argentina is like in no other country in the world. No matter if you win a World Cup or 3 or not, it's still part of who you are. But this is also something that can be weaponized. Check this out.
It's really hard to tell someone how they should feel.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people feel like now they can. A lot of people feel like they have the right to tell someone how they should feel or how they're meant to.
So what she's saying is, I don't feel European because I'm British. So yeah, no, fuck you. I'm not European. I'm British. And a lot of British people may be thinking, yes, that's perfectly how it should be. I don't feel part of what I'm objectively part of, so that's okay. Well, kind of.
To feel when you absolutely can't.
No.
You would never ever, I know this is out of context, you would never dream of telling a transgender person what gender they must feel, would you?
No.
And if you would, then maybe you're the problem.
Yeah.
But you would just never, would you?
No. Or I'd never say to you.
Oh, when you negate reality, when it becomes about feels rather than facts, yeah, I strongly feel like I'm Argentine. Yes, you are, you dummy. You were born there. Yes, was I also born in the American continent? Yes, that's the continent I was born in. So you're an American. No, that's United States of America. No, but yes, you were born someone in Africa, someone from Senegal or from Congo. Yeah, I'm Congolese or Senegalese or Egyptian. Yes, and you're also African because that's part of the African continent. Yes, you're born in the UK and you are objectively European. But what about my feelings? I don't want to feel like that. This is what we end up with. How dare you tell someone? And you know the problem with this is?
Out of context, you would never dream of telling a transgender person what gender they must feel, would you?
No.
And if you would, then maybe you're the problem.
Yeah.
But you would just never, would you?
No.
And so this lady goes to the doctor, right? This lady goes to the doctor and she says, "Doctor, something is wrong with me. I haven't menstruated in like 5 months and I'm a 25-year-old strong, beautiful woman. What's wrong with me?" The gynecologist, right? A YNG, whatever. And the doctor says, "Okay, please take your clothes off, sit there." And when the doctor sits down on his little chair, he finds a huge, big old, like this big. And he said, "Lady, you know why you haven't menstruated? Because I'm staring at a giant ass dick. But I'm a woman. And yes, you identify as one. But you know what? You don't. When we start talking this way, these are the problems we have." And you may be thinking, well, that is something that would never happen to me because I'm not a gynecologist, I'm not a trans person, so I don't have this issue. Well, maybe you are a British person and you were convinced that you should have left the European Union long ago, and you've been manipulated into something that was against your own best interest, as Nigel Farage now openly admits it was a fucking failure. And yes, there's no 320 million pounds a week for the NHS as you were told it would be. You are manipulated. You are lied to. And a lot of this is thanks to making you think something that is not real, it is. I don't feel like someone that was born in planet Earth. I'm a Martian. I identify as a Martian. Okay, crazy person. But that's one of the more funny, ironic aspects of it. But the same applies to these guys. The same applies to men. And toxic masculinity. It is a thing. The people in the screen in my cell phone or TV or whatever told me so. That is an issue. I'm a strong, independent woman. I will beat the crap out of that 200-pound bouncer because I feel empowered. No, you will get your shit kicked out of you. And this is how the problem of being detached with reality affects us to such an extent. So, guys, wrapping this up, think for yourself, always have critical thinking, and don't let yourself be manipulated in this manner, in this way. Whenever you have this mass mentality, this herd mentality, question, wonder, ask, maybe even check a map every once in a while so as to know where you are or where you're not, or check between your legs as to make sure if you identify or you would like or you feel or you believe or you actually are one thing or the other. Okay, this is very important so as to be better prepared. And as always, if you want to learn more about that, you have the channel, you have my books available in Amazon in the links there below. Take care, see you next time.